Kavan, it looks different in here. Kavan, it's different in here.
Yes.
She made me a note I shouldn't stay like this because my natural pose, but I look a bit like a, yeah. But it's not natural. My natural. Do I look like pregnant right now?
Contrary to popular belief, I do not wear makeup when I spin.
This is the third or fourth time I've been here, and
I can't believe. It was Singapore the last 3 days.
Okay, maybe if it's at Zouk, I might make an exception.
I'm from Singapore.
it's the first time I've been here since they've changed the...
Good afternoon.
My friends tell me all the time that people are shit scared of me. I don't know why.
But then when the girl starts talking to me, she realizes that I'm actually a little coy and a little shy, and it comes as a bit of a surprise.
Half an hour ago, we had a really delicious dinner tonight.
Super.
My daily routine.
to get through the day.
I'm a full-time musician slash DJ slash producer slash co-founder of a music label called Darker Than Wax.
Ich weiß immer gar nicht, warum es immer überall stehen muss oder die Leute wissen wollen, wo ich dann reinkomme, weil es ist so...
This is a story I've told a few times already, so...
Story is, I used to be a very destructive kid.
Als ich 7 Jahre alt war...
Probably by the age of 5, actually.
Actually, was born out of a little frustration with things going on.
My cousin, Charles, found a way to keep me quiet. What he did was put me in front of his hi-fi, taught me to play a record.
I probably didn't realize what it was, but my experience then was nobody got me.
I wasn't listening to what the average ordinary person was listening to.
My friends around me didn't understand me.
Being mixed race is part of that too.
My friends from school, my friends from church, when I used to go to church, people didn't understand my music taste.
When you let somebody listen to something like Kraftwerk, they'll say, that's not music, that's noise.
When you want to talk about music that you love, everyone's going to be looking at me like, what the fuck, you know?
Was ich mal werden soll oder so, das war mir völlig komplett unklar.
My opinions of it were very, very different.
I just did my own thing, you know. I didn't feel a need to adapt so that I could feel accepted by my friends.
Das kann ich gar nicht sagen. Es gab irgendwann sehr zeitig Sachen, die ich nicht tun will.
Wow, I think it would be probably 78, 79 when I started going out to house parties.
There was a particular song I listened to.
And I heard this tape, and I listened to how the songs were overlaying each other as they went in and out, and I said, how do they do that?
Something triggered within me.
From that moment, right, that it had me curious, what I did was I put together the songs I wanted to dance to on a tape, making sure that the tempos wouldn't sort of vary drastically, and I used the pause button on a cassette to splice them together.
Those are the old days, you know, so you...
By playing one of those tapes, just one, that for 30 minutes people did not stop dancing because the music did not stop.
It opened Pandora's box of, okay, this is what house music is.
Give them a CD of stuff to listen to. Responses were, for the most part, positive, but we kind of hit a brick wall because we didn't progress anywhere after that.
Use whatever trick my cousin taught me about turning the speakers off and turning them on and trying to blend them so that, you know.
The next step, which is a hookup with a label or something else, or getting it played on a radio station, kind of didn't really happen.
And when he felt I was good enough, he put me in front of an audience. And
I mean, we all know this is a rat race culture in Singapore.
this is the line, right? This is the way it's supposed to be.
You gotta be a 9-to-5er, an executive, a manager.
Diese ständige Wiederholung, obwohl die man natürlich die hat, weil die anderen ja auch irgendwie sozialisiert und festhält, dass man einen festen Job hat und Orte, an die man wiederkehrt und so. Aber ich wusste, dass dieser Schrott, den ich überall so um mich herum erlebt habe, so im Elternhaus, mit dem Arbeiten gehen, dass das irgendwie nicht so ganz... Vielleicht das ist, was ich machen möchte. Es war mir so unfrei und so vorbestimmt, fremdbestimmt.
All of us are complex creatures. Human beings are not simple organisms.
You know, it's kind of like, why are you gonna take this kind of job? It's so insecure, you know, there's no future, there's this.
I guess it kind of brings you down when somebody says, oh, you shouldn't be thinking that way.
The issue in Singapore is that we are still, in this day and age, stuck in a survival mindset.
I'm like a true artist in the sense that I have no agenda whatsoever. If I'm feeling creative, I'll get in the studio. If I'm feeling lazy, I'll stay in bed and read all day.
You can plan all you want and try to have as much foresight as you want.
Mir war Freiheit von Anfang an ganz wichtig. Es klingt vielleicht eine persönliche Freiheit, weil es klingt natürlich absurd, in einer Diktatur aufgewachsen zu sein und zu sagen, mir war Freiheit ganz wichtig. Aber es gibt ja eine Freiheit im Geist, im Denken. Ich glaube, egal wo man ist, das hat mit einem selbst zu tun.
In order for me to have a good time, I need to be able to improvise. I need to be able to take risks, and that's how I like this structure of having no structure.
Whatever takes my fancy, I literally am a complete free spirit.
It feels like doing some sort of extreme sport.
To a certain degree, when you play live in front of a crowd,
You imagine you are climbing a mountain. You look at this big rock and you think, wow, It would be so amazing if I'm able to go there, and you know you can fall.
If I drop something that I know is going to be a bomb and everyone reacts the way exactly as I predict, then I have manipulated them exactly as I wanted to. So.
And when you get that sort of response from the crowd, it's a magical feeling, and you feel that you've done something for them.
But you try, and then you achieve it, and you're like, wow, that's great. And the same with my performance. I take big risks. Very often I have no idea what I'm going to do, and I have no idea what kind of sound is going to come out of the speakers.
No, I'm never satisfied with that. That's what drives me on.
Struggling for your art, in your art, is absolutely necessary. It's not a joyride.
We get inspired by life, and no one is completely happy. We always have downs in our life. The problem for me was I was very restricted financially. I was not able to buy records and start DJing, or to buy the latest technology and to start making music. So I had to make music with what I had. I had nothing.
Das kann ich nicht einschätzen, aber es ist ja, sind ja so ganz. Ich fühle mich glücklich, ja. Aber es gab auch nicht nur glückliche Zeiten in meinem Leben. Es hat natürlich auch immer alles so seinen Preis, dass ich.
Being an artist in Singapore, the visible and invisible barriers that inhibit you from true expression.
It's a very high stress environment. You can't just play one game and be good at it. You know, you got to wear a few different hats. You got to have a few different things to offer to people, because once that one thing becomes passé, you're fucked.
I don't think that just because you are an artist within a particular system, like you said,
Kein Geld hatte, verschuldet war, aber immer irgendwie weitergemacht habe.
that doesn't mean to say that you can't be a true artist and express yourself within that system. There comes all kinds of struggles and emotions through being in that system.
So I had to learn how to make music with nothing, and still up to today, I think that's my trademark. I just learned to be creative in a very restricted situation.
And what better definition of a true artist is that?
Ich finde Gegensätze auch so ganz, ganz wichtig. Das ist aber das, was ich schon meinte mit dem, dass Glücklichsein nur auch durch Trauer empfunden werden kann. Und so ist es immer schwarz und weiß. Und manchmal auch ein bisschen grau.
That's my belief. You gotta always innovate, you gotta always react with the times, you gotta always adapt. Even if it's just something like DJing.
The world was evolving, music was evolving.
Technology has changed over the years. It's so vastly different now.
The computers become really fast, the software becomes so user-friendly and flexible. People are able to create their own sub-programs.
Or you could take the cop out away and play cheat and, you know, make everything sync and just press play. And
The fact that there are people in 2016 that are still into EDM is highly baffling.
Sing-along party atmosphere, which these kids always wanted to do. So it was basically bringing pop music into the clubs.
EDM is a little bit like, to the music world, what the role of processed food is to the culinary world.
Angry, excessive music came angry, excessive behavior as well. And it kind of drove a lot of good people who wanted to just enjoy good music away.
And overwhelming your senses, just like how processed food is full of that sugar, full of that fat.
That clubs adopted that sort of dual policy, like, oh yeah, we can play good house music in the beginning, but the later set has to be banging electro, banging EDM, or whatever it evolved into.
After a while, that great feeling starts to get a little old. You start to feel a little bad.
I think with EDM, right, created a lot of negative vibes because it's brought a lot of negative people into the industry. I've never seen DJs charging £250,000 or €250,000 for a gig for 2 hours when you're playing either other people's songs or playing a premix of other people's songs that somebody else has done for you. It just does not make sense.
But I think that there are a lot of misconceptions these days about DJing not really being an art like it used to be.
It's killed DJing as well in a way that I don't like. Everybody thinks that, you know, crowd's not reacting, I need to cut this quick and I need to play. I mean, I've known some house DJs have resorted to that.
And maybe I can produce something that has a bit of those characteristics in my track. That would be just a passing thought. And then after a while, I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to do my own thing.
It's given people a false impression of what raving and festivals and clubbing should be.
One of the big misconceptions is that we aren't actually doing anything, that we're just kind of standing there and flapping our arms like Big Bird. And
those people who've had that false impression are now sorely disappointed and don't want to go out to these things anymore. What I find sad is that it's killed their enthusiasm to learn or to experience new things. Bringing the community together again, right, and making people forget their fears is, I think, our biggest challenge.
I just feel like elitism is a part of life here. It's one of those warts that are stuck on the back of life that we have to live with.
There's a divide in this country.
In a way, you can't really blame people for it. People are just trying to climb that ladder.
From the huge expat community, business community.
Singapore is a melting pot, and when you mix a lot of different ingredients together into that pot, it doesn't always gel nicely as one coherent whole.
I mean, we are an extremely repressed society. I don't think a lot of of Singaporeans truly express themselves in an honest way. For the most part, they're probably afraid of getting into trouble.
I think there's a lot more fear today.
So people censor themselves before anything even. How people then choose to express themselves is actually in a very shallow way, I feel. So they express themselves with the car they drive, with the clothes they wear, with the social media associations that they may have, you know. They kind of build this artificial world around them. I work in nightlife, in entertainment. I get to listen, you know, to what people around me are talking about, and
It's the same. There's a lot of bitching and backbiting going on in this industry alone.
8 out of 10 times the conversations are inane, you know, it drives me out of my mind because it's so fucking boring. Talk about issues, man, social issues, political issues, whatever, you know, hardly.
If you go out there to slam, I'd rather not talk about what people are not. I'd rather gravitate towards what people are.
It's even more prevalent than ever because these days you have a few giant pipelines that just shove all this information onto the population, onto the general population.
Corporate companies are always going to tell you, oh, I heard you DJ, I like you, but you've only got 300 likes on your page.
Constantly, they're just blaring into your head, into your face, 24/7.
But we could have you play a warm-up set if you play for $50. A never-ending vicious cycle that will keep going on and on and on.
All your surroundings from the moment you wake up to the moment you sleep with the same old shit.
In a big respect is because the good people are afraid to take up these jobs that they're left with the bottom of the barrel. And the bottom of the barrel doesn't really care. The bottom of the barrel just wants to make their paycheck at the end of the day, go home.
You're getting brainwashed. It's all coming from just like 3 pipelines that are owned by corporations.
How it's going to change? Even the up-and-comers, right, deserve to be paid and not stigmatized because, oh, you don't have a social media presence, or you don't have a...
What I choose to do musically is obviously niche. It's not mainstream, it's not popular. So
What I want to do is to make a track that, to me, right, would be, this is going to be a million seller and it makes $2.
well, if someone comes up to me and says, you know, I really dig your music,
But to me, that is what
first thing that comes to my mind is, yeah, I've done my job.
I want to experience, the fact that, hey, I put so much into this. This is a killer track. And then, you know, a sales report comes back and it's like, oh, you've made $2.
My intention is to expose ears and minds to something different.
The fact is, I went out there and did it. I don't want to look in the mirror and tell myself, dude, you just got lazy. I want to keep doing this for as long as I can, or as long as I can stand.
That in doing so, I have expressed myself as honestly as possible.
Enjoying it. And I think that when I stop enjoying it, that'll be time to hit the mailroom and work as a mailboy.
A lot of artists, we don't realize that we actually have some power.
I'm afraid I have to be a bit of a cynic here and say no because I just make music.
Most of the times we talk about music, about, I don't know, drugs, nightlife, whatever, but we don't really talk about the important things like that, the fact that we hold a big power.
I'm not making products that save the environment.
Dance music generally, it started, people from minorities were coming together, like gay people, people from different racial minorities.
It not only unifies people, but it can create roots of a new culture, of a positive culture.
And in these places, how do you look, what is your sexual preference or religion, it didn't matter. Our music, my music, it was reason these people to come together and to forget their differences. I truly believe that this music has this function.
Music has the ability to reach parts of us emotionally that no other art form can do, and I don't know why that is.
Music was one thing that made me think.
For me, it's very important to have a good time.
I've always believed that dancing is in our DNA.
Of course, they say the music was great, but the first thing they say, wow, we really like that you had a good time, and we had a good time with you too as well. I think it's mostly the energy that we transfer. Of course, the music is important, but the music is just a language.
Telling them that, hey, you know, you may have had the shittiest day ever, but it is going to be all right.
There's definitely hope. There's enough sensitive, wide-minded people out there
Especially in a country like Singapore.
who care enough about their communities and their countries and their world.
Segregation's born out of jealousy and born out of hate. And I think that if we learn to break these things down and
Surrender themselves to the idea of discovery.
The fact that we're not only artists, first of all, we are human.
we all bleed the same, and we need to get together to, you know, think this through.
The best kind of change in the world happens naturally. It's not forced or engineered upon anyone.
It cannot be a selfish thing.
Yeah, it's much, much bigger than one person.
It has to be a little bit of you, a little bit of me. And that's, I've always felt the joy of DJing was.
That's what I think about it.
Finished?
Not quite.
Cool, thank you. Interesting questions, thank you.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
I can just take this off. And just
Very good questions, I really enjoyed that, thank you.
absolutely, man.